I just wanted to go through some ICO stuff. I think some people are doing some searches sometimes about how do you get involved in the project right away? How do you get involved in the project that is just starting or is trying to start up, and what's the process and how does that work? I'll show you a couple different websites that I go to just to do some very quick research because I don't get involved in very many of these projects. I just like to see what's coming up to see if anything stands out from what's being talked about online compared to what's actually being listed as being available soon. Because what happens is sometimes you'll hear things that you won't be paying attention to. Hear a video and they'll be talking about different projects or different, kind of coins or tokens, and you won't know what they're talking about. And so maybe if you start paying attention to some of these ICOs coming out, some of the other videos that you might hear after this might be something you might connect with and have a little bit more resonant with what they're talking about. Because what happens is sometimes, they're talking about inside baseball. It sounds like inside baseball anyway, but it's all this information that's already out there. If you were plugged into it, you could have access to it, or you would be familiar with it as well. So we have the CoinMarketCap, which is the normal listing service for all kinds of cryptos, all the biggest cryptos. They also track upcoming ICO projects. So you'll see that there's a start and there's an end date if there is, there's again a window opportunity to buy. And they try to create kind of like a rush to these projects. So they create a limited window and a false scarcity. And this was a 7-day window here. And there was, let's see, Lunify. I'm not sure what these projects are, but we'll have to do some research on the ones that look interesting. And so on this one, they don't have very much listed at all. I don't know where these listings come from, but when you go to these other listings, there's a lot more information here. So typically the segment you want is the upcoming, because then you want to see if you can do some research, buy into them later on. Well, the other key to all this research, at least the initial research, is just to see which ones are duplicated across multiple listing services. So we see this Las Meta. And then we can go to the different projects. We can go to the Discord. We can go follow their Twitter. We can see what kind of project they are, how engaged they are, what kind of community they have. And this will also inform us about the validity of their project. Now, this doesn't mean anything. Like, for example, pretty much every crypto project is on Discord, is on Twitter, and they have a Medium article or a Medium page where they post all their articles. They rug all the same. It doesn't matter unless you know them, unless they have a reputation, or unless they have a track record, or they dox themselves and then get the certification on top of that. And it's not a certification for a KYC certification or a KYC kind of third party knows them, but you don't really know them. You want to find out they've got their contract certified. Like some third parties looked at the contract and said, okay, this contract makes sense, or this contract is represented on the white paper, and all the documents that they've submitted in plain English also represent exactly what the contract shows on their project. Okay, so when we go to this other section, let's go to Pine. Now, Pine, I've heard about it. Not only have I heard about it in the past 2 weeks, now I'm seeing it here, and it's one of the only projects that has medium interest. Most of these projects always have a low interest to very low interest, meaning from my point of view, just looking at it, it just looks like nobody knows what the hell this is. And so it probably doesn't have a lot of community support, but it doesn't mean it's not going to be a valid concern. Again, once you see these listings, you can go to their website and then check out their Discord, Instagram, Medium posts and things like this, and then just spend a little time, getting familiar with who they are and what they're about, and see if they have those certifications that I mentioned. The other thing that you want to do is do it as early as possible. You want to have as much time and as much information about these projects. I wouldn't even say they're companies, because they're definitely not always companies. I mean, it's not even a prerequisite to start one of these projects. You don't need to be a company. You don't need to be in any particular part of the world. So again, part of the research is starting here, picking some that you like the looks of, and then just digging in, getting involved in the community and going from there. Okay, so I saw this Pine protocol is listed here for some reason. Here's different stages they're going to have. And so they did a staking period, purchase period, claiming period. I don't know how you can stake without a purchase, so that's a little bit strange. But anyway, again, just get into the community and check it out and see what's going on. And so I like this site. It's icoanalytics, lays things out a little bit nicer, breaks things down by investors here, which is kind of interesting, because then you can actually go and find out who's taking a risk in these particular projects. And then of course, just do the same research, even though you might have, Coinbase involved in this one, Circle Ventures involved in that one. And you have Sequoia, which is, all these are, not all of them, but most of them are well-known investment firms. Even though they're investing in them, it doesn't mean anything. They absolutely could still get rugged. It's definitely an indication that you have serious money behind them, but that doesn't mean anything. You suppose that these investment research firms or these investment firms did their research and have kind of certified based on the reputation of the investors, you could probably imagine that these are the probably more valuable investments or more secure investments. Now, here's the other part to think about. This is very similar to Solana, where Solana is backed by venture money. And that does not mean Solana is a good crypto project. It is a good project as a kind of a project that uses its own blockchain, but it's not a real good cryptocurrency or a crypto project. What you want to look for in regards to good crypto projects is decentralization and transparency. Solana has gone down. They're famous now for outages. And the reason why they have so many outages is because they're not decentralized. They're hosting their servers very, tightly, or maybe they don't have a very big distribution for their validators, but they've had a lot of outages, and that is an indication that they're not the best crypto project, even though they're using crypto technology for their overall project of their gaming and other. I think they have a NFT project on their chain, and they have some games on their chain, and they're very very well known because of these investors, and they're just VCs from Silicon Valley. But it doesn't mean it's a very good crypto project because they do not have the decentralization of what a good project or a good crypto project by definition should have. So Kryptview is coming up a little bit. Carbon's only on this one list. Let's see if I can get it to come up on another list. Oh no, it's on two lists. It's interesting. Kind of reminds me of Carbon. I think it's a browser. I'm not sure if it's a blockchain or not, but I think it's a browser. Let's see. Yeah, it's a browser. It reminds me of Presearch, which is a search engine project, which is really cool. It's on Ethereum, and I don't see Carbon on any particular service or any platform itself. It says it's a blockchain service, which indicates they have their own blockchain, but I do not think that's the case. And they're going to let's see, they're going to be on BEP20, if I'm not mistaken, is Binance or a BNB, and it's utility token. So it's probably going to be like a Brave browser for the mobile. Let's see what else is happening. Let's see if we can find it on this other one. I was just looking up the regular market. Yeah, it's not the best list. It's very short. It doesn't have the big list like these other two. Let's see if we can find Carbon here. These are recent launch. Well, we don't recently launch. We want upcoming. Yeah, we see private fundraising events. So basically, they sell the tokens to these investors, and these investors get basically first access, and then they sometimes drop out when everybody else has bought in. So this is kind of like the typical pump and dump kind of thing, where all the first investors get all the access to all the coins, and then the public, like you and me, pump it up, and then they have the option to just basically jump out with their golden parachutes. Not the best way to do a cryptocurrency or a crypto project, but that's how most of them do it, just because they're selling it as first adopters. And if you know anything about IPOs and ICOs, this is how this shit works. It's basically the insiders make all the money, and everybody else can basically get screwed on a bad project, because none of us knows how good the project is going to be. We're buying it on hype, and they're buying it as a special introductory offer kind of thing. Okay, I don't see how we can do a search for. Let's try this. I didn't see this up here. No, it's not there. So this icoanalytics thing might be for just current. It won't show us the up and coming. It just shows us the things that are already running, because you can see the Spine protocol started something in November, and I don't understand how they can stake something without purchasing. So this might go back. Let me go back to this page. This might be exactly what I was talking about. Pine might have some investors. They did an ICO a while ago before November. Then they stake their coins, and they may or may not lock their coins, and then they're going to have a purchase for the public. So they're going to get the purchasing periods for the public, and that's where all these first investors back in November, October, they make all their money off of us, who have access to the project in the first part of February. So it's not a very fair game, obviously. So that's why you have to be very careful about what you're doing, what you're getting involved with, and that most of these are scams. Most of these are going to fall apart because there is no utility to most of these projects. They really try their best to provide utility, provide functionality. They just fail mostly in a very, kind of bright and glaring fashion. Architect, let's check this out and see what they're doing, because this is the biggest project that on that list right there, founded by former FTX president. That's a bad sign, because the reputation of FTX and the people that were intentionally and deliberately taking investor money and using it as not only a slush fund fund for themselves by giving themselves loans, but they were using it and invest in other projects so they could capitalize on just having funds available for no good reason and just gullible investors. Which is one thing I can say about FTX is it's another glaring example of the scams that go on in this country, because they say that FTX is an example of needing to be regulated, but that's not true. FTX is an example of the supposition of regulation occurring on the FTX exchange because of all the deals and all the interactions that we saw Sam Bankman-Fried having in Congress and all the so-called regulators. I mean, if he is rubbing shoulders and participating in all these conferences and being propped up as being this institutionalized, new money, institutionalized guy who's ushering in the new wave of crypto into a regulated and above-board marketplace and above-board exchange, that's the indication or the supposition of everybody involved is, oh, this guy is regulated. This guy is on his way to being regulated. Not only with that, but he was saying all the things people in Congress would want anybody to say to suppose they were in cahoots with the U.S. government, or if they weren't yet, they were going to be, because he was just too publicized and popularized, and he was just all over the place, especially in Congress. And where's the regulation going to happen if it's not in Congress? So everybody who saw this, the optics were, this guy's regulated, this guy's above board, this guy, he's going to be a part of the establishment, and the establishment is regulated by FDIC and whoever the hell else they can get to regulate other financial instruments. And obviously that wasn't the case. He was as big a scam as Bernie Madoff, who was never regulated or never even seen in the public arena or public eye. This architect situation is founded by the former FTX president, Brett Harrison, and provides traders with adaptable infrastructure that redefines access to global digital assets. So he's basically a trading platform. It's basically spinning up an FTX. This would be interesting just to watch because very well-known people are involved. Circle Ventures is well-known. Coinbase is well-known. I don't know who these other people are, but I think this is one to track. We should probably track this one because this is the biggest investment, I think, on this list. It's only $5 million, but still good seed money for a scammer, or at least one of the executives for a scam company. So let's look at this later on. And let's track this one and just put it on our list of things to follow, because we want to make sure how the former president of FTX gets funding for anything at this point. And they just did this. This all happened this month, within the past 2-3 weeks. And this is just seed money shit. This is a pretty big seed round. But anyway, since we're in front of it, let's check it out. Let's just see what comes up when you do a search for these guys. Okay, let's see what the details are, because I need to see what's going on. Okay, Architect XYZ. It's kind of like Trader Joe's XYZ. Obviously I misspelled it. Okay, so what? Let's just go into... Wow, what's the deal with the website here? So as I was talking about, mostly they have no Discord, just a Twitter. And it's a fairly recent concern. Look when they joined. One thing we can also check is see what everybody's saying, if anybody's skeptical or anybody's outwardly skeptical. So somebody says, there's no one else out there to give money to, I guess. Decent, man. How does he know that? Let's see what Brett Harrison has to say. He just joined. Okay, let's go down to, when did this start breaking down? He posts a lot. Oh, he posted a ton of stuff just recently. He just posted a ton of stuff, 49-part response, or maybe a perspective or an account of what he went through with where he's throwing Sam under the bus. He says Sam changed. 6 months into the company, pronounced cracks began to form. Yeah, so he's basically throwing Sam under the bus. Doesn't really seem to be taking much responsibility. He definitely wasn't the reason why everybody found out about the FTX fraud. It wasn't like he was a whistleblower or anything. Anyway, so you can follow this guy, Brett Harrison. As I'm showing right here, he has a 49-part Twitter series from the January 14th all the way until, I guess he posted all at one time. So January 14th is when he posted all this. A lot of people are getting on Spaces. It's a great place to follow projects directly, because a lot of people are running Spaces meetings or streams. This guy posts a ton of shit. And he's probably somebody to follow, good or bad. I mean, some people seem to think he's a good guy, has a good reputation beyond his involvement in FTX. So, but he just joined Twitter. I can't imagine. Oh, this is Architect, of course. Only 4 tweets on that account, and then Brett Harrison himself tweets like crazy. Anyway, I should definitely keep in contact with this launch, but it's probably just the same kind of thing where you have, everybody was given the ICO, kind of like Pine, what we just referred to. Where is it? Where did it go? Things were sold ICO, everybody was getting initial coin offering in, behind the scenes, and then they staked those investments right away. And then we're going to be able to purchase, the suckers are going to be able to purchase it on February. Not to say the people who purchase it in February aren't going to make any money. It's just that, like I said, these ICO, the way they don't mint their coins into existence the way that Bitcoin did. They actually just create them right away, a bundle of them, and they just start selling them off in order for the first investors to have a guaranteed return on their investment. Because like I said, back in February when all this happens, anybody who invested back in October, November of last year is going to be able to bail out on the project and cash in on the returns that from the pump that happens early February. Okay, so what the fuck are we doing now? Lost Meta, let's see, this is all on Binance, Lend, Kryptview, let's see what they do. They have some audits. The nice thing about this CoinMarketCap is you see just a lot of information in one little space. Like, for example, I just clicked on this Kryptview, and you can see their communities, you can see their chats, and then their website. And then they also have Certic right here, which is a auditor. I think they certify the contracts. They're not just one of those KYC where the third party knows the people, but you don't know who the hell they are. Certic, I think, certifies the validity and the transparency of their contracts, and I think they match the contract with what the contract is or does on the chain with the white paper. Trust score not available. That's interesting. Skynet, interesting that somebody would use that terminology, because Skynet's not it's a reference to the Terminator, but it's not a good reference to the Terminator. Skynet's the shit that took over the planet. That looks like another just a listing service. Okay, wait a minute. What the hell do they do? I don't know what they do. Exchange. What do they do? See if we can find them on this list. Community Research and Insights. Okay, so it's basically like a CoinMarketCap, and they're going to start on the 26th. And it says ICO, so what are they going to sell? This KVT, which does what? See, some of these platforms I've seen, you can buy the token for membership. You can buy the token like as a DAO, where you can become part of the organization that helps vote on things and the structure of the company and the decisions the company makes. What else can they be doing? I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to be right back. Let me put myself on hold, and I'll be right back.
Go on. That guy don't know his shadow from a hole in the ground.
You'll freeze to death if you stay here.
And you won't have any food either.
Don't worry about me. I got plenty of food. And right now, I'm going swimming. Must be hard water in this lake. Yeah, it's nice and warm here, and I got plenty of food. Go on and blow. Hey, come back here with my food.
I'm that hungry little kitty cat you just read about. I'm so hungry I could eat a woodpecker. Yeah, that's it.
Pardon me, buddy. That's probably the grocery man. Come in. You're just in time for dinner.
Yeah? What are you gonna have for dinner?
I'm gonna have catfish.
Yeah?
Let me take your scarf.
You know, I think that pigeon tried to choke me.
You must be pretty cold, buddy.
No, I ain't cold.
Oh, yes, you are. Step over by the fire and get warm for dinner. Oh, boy. Feline fricassee. You missed me.
Now, my fine pigeon, I'm going to pick you dry. Mice. Meat. That was pretty good. But you know I'm still hungry.
Yeah? So am I.